Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to this discussion on moon sighting with regards to Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr that is coming up. So, Sheikh, we were discussing before the break the permissibility of taking local sightings from foreign countries that may be local to the UK or around the UK. So, Sheikh, if you could just give us the Sharia point of view on this.
I think this thing is such an important topic, which in fact there is much more elaboration, but to sum it up, you see there are a lot of discussion about the horizon, because some take the whole world as one horizon. They say ittihad al-matla'. Then you have the opinion of ikhtilaf al-matali', meaning different horizons. For example, logically you cannot take a report of a country from your west, because are you going to wait so many hours after your sunset? So we need to understand, even in fact there is a hadith of Qurayb, very famous hadith, where the people in Medina and differed from the people in Damascus. So it does not necessarily mean that we have to take a sighting. In fact, that hadith shows that we don't take, where is the location of Damascus, where is Medina? So logically we'd learn that our given location and also the ruling like al-hilalu takhtalifu matali'uhu, the hilal, the matali', it differs from one region to another region. The basic important point is to understand that the fuqaha, and there are plenty of evidence supporting taking the sighting of a report on your country, but at the same time should not go against logic. And for this, one would need to understand what is the flat surface of the earth, what is the different location of the earth, and why there is a difference of opinion in this. There are countries which only restrict themselves to local sighting, like Morocco. They would not take a report of a sighting of another country. In fact, Saudi Arabia, they only concentrate on local sighting. And here in the UK, we cannot restrict it to local sighting given of our high location and high latitude, and that is the reason why we take a report of a country on our east.
So Sheikh, so maybe it's the ijtihad has been done because of locations of, for example, like the UK, to give us that kind of ease us from hardship.
Yes.
Yeah. So Sheikh, so as we discussed that there is permissibility in terms of taking foreign sightings. So in terms of, I know from the work that you and Brother Qamaruddin did that a lot of sighting comes from places like Morocco, and then we have the other side which takes sighting from Saudi Arabia. So Brother Qamaruddin, if you can explain to us the effort that, for example, the IQRA UK do, local sighting, and some of your trips in terms of in Saudi Arabia, what you've done, and other places where we've got verification.
Right.
So some of the slides and pictures, I know you brought some along with you, inshallah.
Yes. Okay, so local sighting obviously is indisputable in Quran Hadith Fiqh, yeah? Local sighting is a must. So in UK, every 29th of the lunar month, we have on our database about 400 members, and they forward it to many other hundreds of them. And people go out and observe for the hilal, and they send us report, which we compile, and any reports we pass on to the ulama to make decision. And I have some pictures showing that people are making observation. But when in winter month it is totally cloudy, rainy, snowing, and we cannot, if we were to complete 30 days, then we'll end up a month after a few months of 28 days, which is not permissible. So this is another reason why we should consider from nearby other location. Now Morocco comes to mind, and you have mentioned a few times. Why Morocco? Not only it is the nearest Muslim country and on the same time zone, but also our ulama have visited them, and they have found that they do thorough observation consistently every month officially, and officially their qadi make decision. And because they have hundreds of locations, I have a fax, I get a fax every month for our group, and they have 278. So this fulfill our Jammi Ghafir condition. Now I can explain going to Saudi Arabia.
Okay. If we look at some of the pictures that Brother Qamaruddin said, if we look on brothers and sisters on your screen, that will be coming up shortly, inshallah. One of the pictures of the horizon. If you can just explain the slide that will come up, inshallah.
01.
Yeah. So inshallah, if we can get the slide up, inshallah, and then brothers and sisters can see the slide.
Okay.
So if you can explain this quickly, come
So
on.
this picture is coming from York horizon. So as you can see, the sun is setting, and where it meets the earth, that line is called the horizon.
Yeah.
Okay. When the sun's upper limb goes below that line, then that is sunset. But as you can see, there is a lot of glare.
Yeah.
The brightness. That brightness shows that if the moon is too close to the sun, even though it may set few minutes after the sun, because of the glare, it will always hide behind the sun. It is not possible for the human eye to see it.
Okay.
It has to be significantly above the difference for it.
So if we look at the next picture, inshallah, and this is horizon. The next picture.
This is looking in Dammam, where the sun is disappearing before sunset. I think he's jumped a few slides.
Okay.
So you can see the hazy or dust on the horizon.
But it needs to be pointed out that, you know, at the time of the setting of the sun, we don't actually see, it's disappearing well before the setting, I mean the horizon. So this is very important because in Saudi Arabia, if you cannot see the exact setting of the sun, so that also, it's a very, points out that the location of sighting is not suitable during the summer times. Is that correct?
That's right. Throughout the summer it's dusty and cloudy, and it's not possible to easily
So
see.
if we look at the next slide, inshallah.
This is again Sutton Bank in North Yorkshire.
This is Tooting Islamic.
No, is it?
Yes, this is, I can remember when I was standing there. On
Tooting,
the, in fact, this was on the rooftop of Tooting Islamic Center here in South London.
It's 26-hour moon, yes.
Yes, we had an observation of a hilal which is recorded, and this is one of the evidence that we do observe practical local sighting every Islamic month. And in fact, one of the on the screen is the Imam Osman, and also you can see Brother Nazir.
If we can get the slide up with the facts from Morocco, and if Brother Qamaruddin, if you can just explain, you know, in terms of the verification, how this comes to us.
Okay.
This is more pictures of the ulama that are citing
locally, yes.
Yeah. So if we can get the slide up, inshallah, brother, with the facts from Morocco.
Yes, the next one, 2004 should be facts from Morocco.
So what is important to point out is that every month we are observing and doing observations of the hilal.
So
is able to zoom into that one or not?
Okay, so if you explain
this is from Morocco Awqaf Ministry. Every month we get a fax that of there are 278 observing points, if there is a sighting or not. And we asked them to give us electronically by email, but they say this is for legal purposes. They have to have a sign of the minister. And because they also have imams in neighboring countries to Morocco, they have to do these facts.
Official facts.
So that is why we get this, so we know that every 29 months that we are getting reports of observation sighting. We have made similar requests to other countries, including Saudi Arabia, but we have not.
So, as we can see, alhamdulillah, there's a lot of effort in the UK as well that people are looking at sighting. But if we look across the countries and look at places like Morocco, where they have an official body, they have we have the qazis that officiate when the month begins. I think the main concern what people will be thinking about is that the divide in the UK is based on solely probably Saudi Arabia have cited or not cited. So in terms of a non-biased point of view, you know, the Saudi Arabia follow a al-Qura calendar. And I think this is quite crucial to the fact that in terms of the moon sighting itself, because some brothers are saying, you know, what is this calendar? Some are saying this calendar is, you know, just for official purposes. Some are using this calendar to officiate if a month begins or not. So, Brother Qamaruddin, as you were in Saudi Arabia for 1 year, I mean, you'd probably be in the best position in terms of to explain to us what the al-Qura calendar is, and maybe also what some of the concerns are with the moon sighting in Saudi Arabia, as you spent a year there, inshallah.
Okay, so before I explain the al-Qura calendar, I should say that in Saudi Arabia, mashallah, they are very meticulous about practical Islam, 5 pillars pillar of Islam, that at times of, for example, at the times of prayer, everything shuts down, you go for your prayer, and people outside will properly covered, women's in hijab and everything. So this is very, very good experience I have found, mashallah, and a lot of pious people. And the problems of the moon sighting is fully acknowledged by the experts. And so this is very comforting for me.
So in terms of, you said the problems are acknowledged. So in terms of what do the Saudi astronomers and the Saudi scholars acknowledge? What are the issues?
Okay, we following a solar calendar, which is not a religious calendar. In Saudi Arabia, they have adopted some 30 years ago or so a lunar calendar. Obviously, you cannot predict the actual sighting in advance. So how do you develop a government administration in advance, dating system based on a sighting which hasn't occurred? So they take the birth of the moon. Al-Qura is a civil calendar which is based on conjunction I explained at the beginning, birth of the moon, and then this was revised to say after the birth, if the moon set after the set, it could be by 2 seconds or 10 minutes, whatever. Now, the Sharia or the religious calendar is based on the visibility of the moon and not the birth of the moon. And the difference could be a day or more between the two. Now, even though they do not say we are following the calculated calendar for religious purposes, when they go out to look for the moon, they go look for it on the 29th day of the Al-Qura calendar. So they are looking in advance of the moon actually being on the horizon. For example, today is according to the Al-Qura calendar 29th of Shaban. Yeah. Now the moon has set before the sun in whole of Saudi Arabia. Okay, the moon is not on the horizon. So therefore it is impossible for them to sight it. And therefore, if hopefully nobody's claim sighting, but if they did, in previous cases, they would say we cannot accept it because it is before the Al-Qura.
Yeah, so as far as the royal court decree has come, that is probably one that they have not cited and that they're finishing 30 days of Sha'ban. So according to the Saudi Arabia, that the first day of Ramadan will fall on the Thursday, but inshallah we'll get to that later on. With regards to Ramadan.
And anyway, what they are acknowledging is that because it is setting expectation, even though the experts cannot sight it even with the highest telescope, and I have some pictures of observing with the experts, there are few non-committee members who claim to have sighted, they are known as early sighter, and this is only near one city called Riyadh. I mean, I have a book here which covers all the cities where they do observation. If whether I can zoom into that, hasb-e-haal, is that right, Sheikh?
Yes, ahwal-ahilla. So this is for 2 years.
Okay, so they go to all these different cities to observe the hilal, and it has all the data. Now, all the cities, out of the 12, there are only 9 they're using at the moment. Everybody reports genuinely, but one city near Riyadh, 2 areas called Shakra and Sudair. These are the area where there are 2-3 early sighters. Some years ago, they used to report sighting even when the moon was not born or below the horizon. But since they adopted the Al-Qura calendar from 2004 for religious purposes to look for it, they are not accepting people who claimed before that. But it sets an expectation. So these few people, they claim, even though the astronomers and experienced observers do not cite it, and unfortunately, it is the fiqh rule they follow. They say if somebody said we saw it, we are bound to accept it. This is their system and applicable to their country. Yeah. In other countries, they would say if this horizon is clear, then we have to have a large group, because that means that if one person claims sighting when thousands are looking, you are effectively saying everybody's blind and only one would sight. Yeah. So if it's clear, then why can't a lot of people sight it? And also, as you move towards the west, the moon is bigger and brighter and higher. Why aren't they able to sight it? So there are a lot of logic how we can verify. But in Saudi Arabia, they're saying if somebody claims it and the Al-Qura says it should be on the horizon, then they will accept it. But the experts believe that is wrong because it's not matching the visibility, even though it may be setting closely with the sun, as I explained. It's glare of the sun.
Sun that you can't see.
And that is why we have raised a petition to ask them to change, and they have welcomed that, saying this will help us to move forward.
So, Brother Qamaruddin, as you said, you've raised the petition to change the al-Qur'an calendar. If you could just explain to us briefly in terms of the acceptance of this calendar by Saudi Arabia, by the judicial system, and in terms of what you hope to achieve from it.
Okay, what we discussed with the experts there is that nearly 2 years ago, it was September 2013, Zulqada 1434, we started this, and after about 3 months, with the help of our members, and especially Sheikh Sulaiman Gani, we got about 2,000 signatures on the petition, a lot of the ulama and experts, as well as some publics. 90% of it is from UK, 10% other countries. And they said, okay, give us what you've got and let us make a start. And this is good enough to get the ball rolling. Now, we sent that across, and they have started circulating it amongst the Ministry of Justice as well as the scientific community. So when I went there last year, I wanted simply to join the Hilal committee to observe. And then somebody says, you're Qamaruddin, right? I said, yes. Aren't you the person who sent us a petition from your country? He says, yes. Okay. So I thought they're going to say, you are trying to criticize us. He said, it was a judge not judge, actually, Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed bin al-Bubatain, his name. Got a picture with him, and he said, thank you very much for doing that. We've been always trying to work out how we can go about making some improvement, and this will really help us. And then when we finished, I was about to leave, and then one of the astronomers says, give him a presentation. And so I had prepared a presentation, and I gave him very briefly. And he said, this should be shown, translated into Arabic, and shown to all the judges before they qualify. So I thought they were very positive. Very positive, mashallah.
Okay. Brothers, Sheikh, and we have a call, inshallah, so I don't know if you wish to take the call.
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah, inshallah, if we take the call, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, and if you can give us your name and where you're calling from, inshallah.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. I'm calling from London. I just have one question about Salat al-Fajr, please. Now is the time is two timing we are seeing in the different Islamic channels. One is around 1:20.
So what I will do very briefly, I will just quickly, because the whole program today is on Hilal, but I think it's important to know why there is a difference in the timing of the Fajr time, because people are going to start keeping fast. Tomorrow after the Maghrib Salah, you're going to, as we do from the 29th of Sha'ban, we're going to do the observation of the Hilal, in fact, tomorrow. And then if the Ramadan, obviously, if the Hilal is sighted as we were listening, we do local sighting as well. We will be taking report of countries on our east. But now when Ramadan starts, why is it different timetables? So just for your knowledge, those who are in South London, we are using 1 hour and 23 minutes. This means that your fast begins at this time. At least few minutes try and stop before 1 hour and 23 minutes. And why? Because from the 23rd of May to the 21st of July, we are in a persistent twilight period of time. The sun does not go below the horizon sufficient enough to abolish the light, and hence this is a calculation that is used, a criteria using the last day when we have normal Subh Sadiq through dawn occurring and consistently throughout this period. And Ramadan falls in this period of time. So that's just for your knowledge, and you need also to check with those who are using the later timing. How did they reach that timing? I think it's most important to question those who are preparing the timetables, and also most important, your local imam. He should be able to explain to you how the timetable is prepared. Jazakallah khairan.
Barakallah. So if we can get some of the slides up with regards to your visits in Saudi Arabia,
yes.
Then inshallah we can quickly go through them and then get on to the main topic today of Ramadan, inshallah. So if we can get the slides up with Brother Qamaruddin, your visits to in Saudi Arabia and visiting the local astronomers and the judiciary ministers. In terms of, it seems you were well received in Saudi Arabia. So it seems that Saudi Arabia is looking not necessarily to change, but to adapt and to actually look at a more system that will be more effective and probably more accurate.
Yes, yes.
Would it be accurate to say?
Yes, I think what they were giving me a blank face, why you want to follow us.
So, Brother Qamaruddin,
so this is Sheikh Mohammed Bobatain, Minister of, from the Ministry of Justice. And he welcomed me and saying thank you for your petition, and I will send it to Sheikh Ibrahim Al Isa, the minister. This is one of the judge from the local court with his secretary there. Next one. This is one of the astronomers, Sheikh Saleh As-Sab. He is presenting me with one of these guide. And this is the vehicle that they collected me from the train station, the company. And this is at Riyadh Observatory outside, locating the sun. So it's tracking the sun at the moment with the shield until the sunset will remove the shield to look for the moon. So a very powerful telescope, and a lot of the astronomers, judges, ministers are all there looking for the moon on the 20th.
Was there any imams?
Qura calendar. They are all imam, mashallah. They are very good in reading the Quran. So you have judge who is the imam, who is the Minister of Justice, who is the imam. There is the astronomers who are also setting up a CCD camera to see if they can see the hilal during the daytime. This is in Dammam. This is one of our scientists. His name is Dr. Ali Shukri. He's a professor of astronomy at KFUPM.
Yes, this is very famous personality.
He sends prediction regularly on our ICOP.
Dr. Ali Shukri.
Yes.
Take note of his name.
Okay. Next one. This is Dammam hasn't got a built-in observatory. We go in open space, so they bring the equipment. So looking, this telescope is tracking the moon. So I'm just looking through it. So let's go quickly through the other one. Again, all these are members of the Hilal committees, and it was honor for me to join many at different cities, at Dammam, at Riyadh, at Medina, in Shakra, things like that. So we can go through them. This is one of the photos saying the sun is such brightness and still the dust is going to cover the light. And you see half of it is going. So if the sun loses its brightness behind the dust, how about a moon which is a reflection of the sunlight? You cannot see it even.
This is a very important slide. You cannot even see.
So we cannot see it, after the sunset. So to say that Saudi desert skies is always very clear, this is a wrong statement. And I think in some of this is at Makkah Observatory. That is a built-in observatory, King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology, which is the topmost scientific research center, and their observatory with the big dome, and they have a huge telescope, and some of our brothers from here visited that. I think it's 16-inch huge telescope.
This is Makkah Observatory.
Okay. So, inshallah, Brother Qamaruddin, you give us a good insight into the actual, astronomy that's going on in Saudi Arabia. So, alhamdulillah, there is effort being made there to make sure that we get accurate sighting. So, inshallah, after the break, brothers and sisters, we'll be covering when is the start of Ramadan. We look at how we look at unity of our calendar, inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.